Yo, yo.
You got a good one, folks. You got a good one. Welcome back to Real Amigos. Ian's already jumping out again. He got scared of Thomas, so he popped out. But welcome back to Real Amigos. It is.
Oh, I can't hear you, Jeremy. Uh-oh.
Can't hear me? Oh, Ian can probably hear me.
I can't hear you, Jeremy. Not sure if you can hear me.
I can hear you. In the chat, if you don't mind, can you tell me if you can hear me? Ian, can you hear me?
I can hear you perfectly well, yes.
I can't hear either of you. Uh-oh, maybe I got to log in, log back out.
Gosh, you got to learn how to use your computer as I just got back in.
Thomas was going pee right before and said he...
Oh, no.
Oh, look at that. Okay, well, we're going to keep talking.
My gosh.
Ian, what's up, man? How are you?
Man, it's insane. I don't know what's in the water, but I have so many people that are like, I want to do this. I want to do this. I want to sell this. I want to buy this. Investment this. Like it's crazy, but it's good. And there's so many new projects that are being announced in Austin. I don't know if it's like this in Florida, but just the activity that we're hearing today, it's blowing my mind, and I'm here for it. I'm excited for it, you know?
Yeah, man, my Instagram is full of all of the, I started doing like a reel pretty much every day on there, a short.
I've noticed.
YouTube as well. And man, every day I'm like filming more and more and more stuff because there's just so much news coming out. So pretty exciting. Yeah. Thomas, are you back yet? Can we hear you?
I'm back. I can hear you guys. I don't know what was going on there, but yeah, I would say the same thing. I mean, I'm in northeastern Florida here, so I can't speak for the whole state, but I feel like in terms of a metropolitan area, we're probably at the bottom of the list in terms of like fast-paced markets, right? You got Tampa, Orlando, Miami, and Jacksonville is definitely at the bottom of that. I'm just south of there at St. Augustine, but I feel like since the new year has started, exactly what Ian said, things have really, really picked up. For me personally, I'm busier I've ever been. And I've also, just talking with other agents in my market, they're pretty much saying the same thing, that pent up demand we were all waiting on, right? It just seemed to kind of break the floodgates there.
Well, what's interesting is, we called clients today and they're like, yeah, we saw rates went up. And I'm like, I mean, it's interesting because we're going to go into, Austin versus or Texas versus Florida here in a minute, but it's pretty interesting to me that how fickle buyers can be just on just a slight rate increase. It's like if you want to avoid racing rate increases even more, just jump in. And I get that it's not easy. So trust me, I'm not telling everybody just to go buy a house. But if you're so concerned about rate, let's look at payment, right? And look at what's going to work. Kevin in the comments, Kevin emailed me today and said, happy Valentine's Day. Happy Valentine's to you, Kevin. I'm going to be in Florida giving a talk to a bunch of realtors. Thomas is going to be there on March 6th. So if you want information about that, shoot me an email and we'll see you there. All right. So Texas versus Florida. We all know that Texas is better than Florida for so many reasons. But Thomas, tell us why Florida is number 2.
I mean, I don't know if I can co-sign on number 2. I mean, what does Texas have that Florida doesn't have? I mean, I don't know. I mean,
you got
a bigger state. You guys are bigger, I don't know.
We have the Cowboys that win the Super Bowl every year. Is what I'm told by all the Cowboy fans. So we have that.
Yeah, you got a whole bunch of bandwagon fans,
We got a lot of Kansas City.
I guess the Bucks do too, though, here in Tampa. So what can you say about that? But the Jags, it's very much like Philly fans. I feel like Philly fans, they're diehard Philly fans because no one else is a bandwagon fan for Philly. Whereas like the Jags, it's the same thing. Jags, like no one likes the Jaguars besides the people that live in Duval County.
I think Texas focuses more on college than on actual NFL stuff. So Florida, where are they? Where are they on anything right now?
Come on, Florida State went like 13-0 this year, I think, and then they got snubbed from the Rose Bowl's big thing. UNF, come on, UF.
I mean, we do have that cheating Astros team that won the World Series. So, and then the Rangers, we have the Rangers that won the World Series. We got 2 football teams in Austin. We got, one of the best MLB teams.
Yeah, the minor league
teams.
Yeah, they're good.
We got sports. So if we're going to talk sports, let's talk property taxes, huh? You guys have massive
I am interested.
Problems. I love System of a Clown.
I gotta say, fantastic name.
As I say, yeah.
That's great.
The answer is neither. Both too hot, tax and insurance issues, traffic, and too much inbound migration for the infrastructure. Sorry, boys. I'm curious, what state's better?
Where does this guy live? I want to know that.
Here's the thing. The thing is, every single one of those is relative to what you've experienced, right? Like we're nothing like. I know we're not comparing ourselves to India, but when you want to talk about traffic or LA, we're nothing like that, right? When you want to talk about too hot, I think it's not that bad. El Paso is too hot. We're in Austin. It's fine. Houston is too hot. Florida is too hot.
I'm in North Florida, so North Florida is way nicer than South Florida, So once again, it's all relative, right? Like I couldn't see myself living in South Florida or like south of Orlando South, really. Orlando, the traffic around there apparently has been rated like the worst in the United States. So, and I could see it. I don't know, I'm not a Disney adult. I know some people are Disney adults and love that, but that's not me. I don't understand that. It's very odd to me.
Now, I did hear something interesting about insurance yesterday, that Florida is one of the worst in the country.
Oh, yeah. That's a fact, actually. So
that's not a surprise, Ian.
Hey, that's the truth of insurance. It is like 74% of the claims within the United States came from the state of Florida. And a lot of that has to do with, of course, we have the hurricane issue, which is never going to change, right? But we also have problems with how the laws were set up here. Roofers would come by and say like, oh, hey, we found some hurricane damage, and we can get you a new roof for your deductible. So a lot of that fraud was happening. And since then, House Bill 837 was just passed, and now we've seen like a 50% drop year over year in insurance claims because that essentially put a cap on how much attorneys can charge for these situations. because it came up to the insurance company. They're like, hey, we either pay for this new roof or we go to litigation. And all day long, it was cheaper to pay for the new roof, which is why all these insurance companies bailed out. So you guys don't have to deal with that in Texas, I guess. I guess you guys got, you got the law on your side over there.
What we have is people just leaving, like insurance providers that are just like, yeah, we're just not going to do it in Texas anymore. So we have a lot of that. They're abandoning.
They have the same thing over there too.
What's going on in Texas that people are like insurers are leaving? Like what?
You want to know? Here's what's going on. We had no natural disasters, and all of a sudden, for the last like 4 years in the Austin area, we've had hailstorm after snowstorm after like crazy rainstorms, and now a drought. It's like, wait, what is going on? We have all of these things that are hitting us right in the middle when, it was perfect for a long time.
What is a snowstorm in Texas? Like a half inch of snow? Like what is that? I know you got your heated vest on right now, probably.
The trees can't handle it. So when you have a snowstorm, it really just turns to ice. There's no such thing as salt on the roads. And so you have trees that are falling on people's houses. They're breaking through the houses, blowing up pipes and stuff, and they've got water leaking in. And then these people can't get out of their driveway because they all have rear-wheel drive Mustangs. And then they don't realize, and even if they could drive, they don't realize that it's all black ice. And we have these really tall overpasses. And so people are like flipping around and flying over the overpasses because they've never seen ice before. Come on, man. There's all sorts of problems with it.
Interesting. Yeah. So, I mean, do you guys, I mean, not that you're weathermen, but weathermen get paid whether they're right or wrong. But I mean, do you guys think that's going to continue to happen? You're going to keep getting these ice storms, snowstorms? What happened to global warming?
Did you see the trailer for Twisters 2? Twisters?
Yeah. Twisters.
I did. Yeah, I did see that.
That's it. That's actually done in Texas. Actually, I don't know that. It's probably Oklahoma, which is just North Texas. What do you say? North Dallas?
North Dallas.
Yeah.
North Dallas. Well, I mean, Round Rock is considered to me Dallas, so it's pretty much the closest thing to it.
Where are you then? In Marble Falls?
Yeah. So the question I have, obviously, you're in St. Augustine, which is north. Now, it's interesting. So Eileen and I have been looking at different places in Florida to potentially maybe buy some investment properties, maybe a place to potentially live in the future. Not that I didn't want to leave Austin, but you
want to move to the number 2 state, right?
What was that?
You want to move to the number 2 state?
Well, I want to live closer to the ocean again. I don't want to live closer to hurricanes, so that's what has me a little worried. So anyway, we've been traveling around to see if there's just some spot in Florida that I could fall in love with. And it's tough. I mean, the places that I fall in love with were Naples. I thought Naples was nice. Sarasota is great, like uber expensive for both. I really liked where you are, St. Augustine. Other than that, like it was a meh for me. So tell me, if I'm moving to Florida and I don't want to like spend $8 billion on a property there, where am I moving to get, like, let's say I want to buy a house under $500K. I don't want to be too far from the ocean. I want to have a decent sized house. Where are we going?
Yeah, I mean, that's either going to be somewhere on the Gulf, like, but then if you're on the Gulf, you're going to be getting hit with hurricanes way more often than you would be on the East Coast. So to get away from that, like, so if you're looking for the best of both worlds, I definitely would say like northeastern Florida. Obviously, I'm a little biased, but northeastern Florida, we definitely get hit with less hurricanes. It's not as hot as South Florida, and you can still find like Jacksonville, which is north of us, Duval County, is definitely going to be way more affordable. I think the median sale price there is like $350 versus like our median sale price in St. Johns County is $550. So you can still get extreme affordability in Duval County and be within 20 minutes of the beach. But even where I bought a house here, and I'm in St. Johns County, I'm 15 minutes from the beach, 10 minutes to the amphitheater. I'm a 5-minute drive to downtown St. Augustine. My house is $310,000. So, I mean, there are pockets here that you can find cheaper real estate than the rest of St. Johns County. But of course, St. Johns County is one of the wealthiest counties in the state of Florida. So we have all the beachfront. We have, I think, 46 miles of beachfront. And that's where you're going to see the larger prices for sure. So if you're looking for a several $1 million home, I just sold a $1.2 million home on Volano Beach. And I was talking to Nate over in Sarasota, and he's like, 1.2 on the beach. He's like, that's insane. That's insane. I can't believe it. It is insane too. But the fact that it's so cheap, he couldn't believe it.
Yeah, I liked St. Augustine because it's the longest continuous colony, right, or city in the U.S. Continuous, whatever it is. I liked it. Don't get me wrong. I liked driving down the A1A though too. Like you just come across all these cool little spots, and I'm like, oh, $4.5 million. That doesn't sound bad. I'm like, wait, I just said $4.5 million. That doesn't sound bad. Yeah, it's still bad. Like I could buy a pretty badass house in Texas with land for $4.5 million. System of a Clown, fitting again. Homes in Western North Carolina and New Mexico. If Texas has another brutal summer of extended 110 heat, was it extended 110? People will start to react. I think people did react to that. And then Jacob, who's been putting in great comments here a minute ago, he said, barbecue in Texas, check. Tech scene, check. Less crazy people, check. Less direct exposure to constant natural disasters, lower insurance costs, check. Okay, I like that one. It's a good one. And then he was followed up by saying, my buddy lives in Northwest Florida and has been hit by like 4 hurricanes in 5 years.
Yeah, don't want any of those type of hurricanes. Yeah, that's the problem with northwestern Florida. But just to get back on Jacob there, I've had people come from Texas and say that we have great barbecue here. Now, I'm not a big barbecue fan myself. I like my seafood. Ian, I see you making some faces, so you'll just have to come and try it. But the tech sector, I mean, not that it's really popping off here in St. Johns County. We really don't have much industry, but Duval County has fintech going on. And then so does, obviously, with the exodus of people leaving California, going to Florida and Texas. South Florida has that going as well. The crazy people just keep things interesting, so I can't really say much about that. But yeah, otherwise I can't, we do get natural disasters unlike you guys, but we don't get any snow or any ice, not yet, at least.
Here's what gets me when
I mean, you got me with the ice. When the ice storm comes for like a day, it really does suck. I gotta say that.
When you go to a city, and I've been all over Florida, when you go to a city and you're like, where should we go to eat? I've never in my life heard anybody say, let's go get barbecue. So that just means I'm either hanging out with the wrong people or I'm going to the wrong places. Or the third option, which I don't have to say. That is just not Texas. I'll say it anyway.
I mean, it's very possible. It's very possible. I hope Texas can hang their hat on something at least. If barbecue's that, then I mean, at least you guys can have that. But we'll take the seafood option. You want to
know what we can hang our hat on? You know what we can hang our hat on? There's an article that just came out yesterday. So this was sent to me by Kevin, who's at EV130 on Twitter, and he's a client and a friend. And he said Austin ranks #1 for the best performing city in the United States because of all of our growth and everything like that. I'm going to link this article in case you haven't seen it.
You don't even have to. You know what, Ian? You don't even have to link it, buddy.
You got it?
You want to know why? I talked about it on my Instagram story. Or in my
Oh, did you? Hilarious.
Yeah, buddy.
Head of the curve.
Yeah. So if you're not
following what does that mean, though? What is performing city? Like a best place to like get a job and hang out. Like
more jobs, more fun stuff. We perform, performance. This is the Milkins Institute put this out there. So, I don't know who they are, but when you have a name like Milken Institute, like whatever you say goes.
Everything.
I mean, they're milking it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Here we go. I wonder if this will let me play audio when I do this. Oh, wait, I think I got to reshare it. Yep, right here. Boom. Milken Institute. That's Economic Future one. Sorry. Where's Milken Institute? Where did I put that one? Best performing city right here. Oh.
There was 10 cities there. What were the other 10?
Institute 2024 Best Performing Cities list, proving that Austin's not just the music capital of the world, but it's the booming heart of America's tech and economic growth. Rocketing to #1 for the first time since 2013, Austin's economic engine is turbocharged by unparalleled job and wage growth, especially in the tech sector, which has nearly saw a 63% increase. With giants like Tesla fueling the fire, Austin's tech landscape is diversifying and thriving despite the challenges faced nationwide. Austin also makes waves with significant leap in housing affordability, showcasing a commitment to keeping the city within reach for everyone. And with major projects from NXP Semiconductors, Samsung, and Tesla.
All right, that's enough. That's enough, Jeremy. Making freaking 10-minute long reels on Instagram.
That was good, though. That was informative. I like that.
You're welcome. ChatGPT wrote it.
Did you see the comment from Samsung tablet over here?
No, not yet. I'm not even on that screen. I'm still looking at this one. It says Austin, Round Rock, Raleigh, North Carolina, Boise, Idaho, Salt Lake City, Provo, Nashville, Fayetteville, Dallas, Plano, Irving, which is huge, Olympia, Termwater, Washington, and Charlotte. Now, I have a reel coming out in like another day. Hopefully my guy gets it to me. But Austin was ranked #1 best capital city. So best city capital. Boom, in your face. Wait, St. Augustine can't say that. All right. And you can't say,
well, we're not the capital. So
I know, but what's the capital of Florida?
It's not a great city. So. Yeah,
That's it.
It's definitely not. It's not great. It's Tallahassee, but they have Florida State there. You know, it's a good school, but I wouldn't want to live there personally. Not my cup of tea. Orlando.
You go back some years, and that's what people were saying about Austin. Like, it's a good school, and then it just when people understood like that you have all of the hill country and access to all the other major cities without the crowds, as many of the crowds, the live music, all this other stuff. Pretty good weather compared to most of the other places in Texas. I think that's what caused the boom. It was a secret for a while, and now it's like.
Well, and that's something that like I say this all the time. Like I grew up in the Northeast. Like St. Augustine would be amazing. Florida would be amazing if we had some type of mountains. It's super flat. Everything here is flat. We're pretty much at sea level. So all of the entire state of Florida is in a flood zone, right? Which doesn't really help in terms of the insurance aspect that we're going to cover. But that's what it is. That's the only thing I really think like we miss out on. Now, I mean, St. Augustine's way different than Austin. It's not the metropolitan hub. It's definitely not going to be the place where you go look for your high-paying jobs. But I will say that our amphitheater here, we sell more tickets than Red Rocks, you know. So we got something going on here.
Yeah, didn't you say that Bert Kreischer out there one day or something like that? Or you saw him?
Yeah, they have Bert Kreischer, Adam Sandler. We saw like Milky Chance there last year, OAR. Whole bunch of good bands. They really get through here. Common just came through this weekend. They did a jazz and blues festival out here at Fort Mose. So like St. Augustine is really different compared to, I'd say, the rest of Florida, because the rest of Florida, I think, is more or less industrialized. Like it's you're where maybe in Austin, that's more of like an older city. St. Augustine's much older. Where you have that walkability, where I think pretty much every city within Florida is more about like driving places. So maybe
if St. Augustine was older, then it would have more experience, would be a better city than Austin.
No, not our city leadership here, man. They want it to be like it was 20 years ago. You know, now I think like for my generation, like I think St. Augustine's a great place to live. There's always something to do, lots of culture, lots of history. I want to show you guys something, actually. You guys will enjoy this. I can share my screen on this, right?
Yeah, you can.
All right, let's check this out real quick. So this is some of the culture that we have here in Florida. And I'm gonna.
You got to.
What was that?
You got to hit present screen and then pick the screen that you want.
Yeah, I got it. Okay.
Samsung tablet said half of Austin's metro is a glorified Waco. I would like you to expand on that because I don't understand that comment.
Yeah, that's why I was saying, did you see that? Because I thought, like, I've spent enough time. I actually just closed a deal in Waco. I've closed one, and I have one closing in Temple. It does not look like Austin. It just doesn't. I don't think so.
So can you guys see the screen?
Yeah, I see it. The Florida Man.
Yeah, so they're having that. They're having this month. It's called the Florida Man Games, and it's all the stereo. It's the culture of Florida, just bottled up into one little thing. Now, if you can hear my dog yelling, she's freaking out outside. But the Florida Man Games is going to be the cultural revolution of St. Augustine, right? We have a comedian from Instagram joining us, and they're going to have several games. Eat the butt challenge, right? So they're going to be eating some brisket. They're going to have a weaponized pool noodle mud duel, evading arrest obstacle course. They actually are getting real police officers to evade. Category 5 cash grab, catalytic converter, 2 bikes, and a handful of copper pipes race against time. A Florida sumo. And these are going to be the judges. Can you guys top this? We got Nitro and Ice from American Gladiators. Okay.
Is it?
Now,
oh, that's Nitro. Okay.
That's pretty incredible. I mean, we had I went to Rednecks with Paychecks, but it was one event with a couple micro things, big trucks and guns and all that, but nothing like this. That's huge.
They're going to be having a mullet competition, so grow your mullet, and they're going to judge on that. They got like a famous mullet guy who's going to judge that, and then also they're having instead of a Florida Man competition, they have a Florida Ma'am competition. So it's women dressing up as like pinup girls, somewhat of the Florida culture with like alligators and stuff. So I'm going to go. It's going to be a good time. I'm going to enjoy it.
I'm going too. When is it?
It's
February 24th. Come on down.
Oh, that's too soon. That's too soon, man. But man,
it's the first one they're ever doing.
Here's the thing: a lot of the things that you had mentioned, we just have walking around. It's not just mullets and man buns. It's mullets and man buns with cowboy hats. So we already have that kind of stuff happening all over the place. It's just not It's not yet a contest.
Yeah, we're celebrating our crazy people here. That's the culture of Florida, and we love it. So we're going to celebrate it and put them on display. But the man bun mullet combo, that's revolutionary. I got to say that sounds like an Austin thing.
And then add a cowboy hat and boots and shorts on a man. All of it. All of it.
Man, the women over there are probably going crazy.
Oh, they love it. And I mean, yeah, yeah. Yeah.
I'm kind of disappointed you guys don't wear cowboy hats during this. You should. That'd be hilarious.
That's a good point. There's a guy in Austin named Nolly Williams, and he's already coined that. I can't do it.
Who has?
Nolly, remember him?
Oh, Nolly Williams. Yeah.
There's a guy here in Florida that does loans, and he wears a cowboy hat, and he calls himself the Loan Arranger. I was like, that's so solid, dude. That's the best. So
I met him in Orlando.
I think it was the same event we were at. Yeah.
That was the Orlando event.
He's an imposing figure. He's like 6'4". He's huge.
Yeah, he's a big dude. That hat makes him 7'3".
Yeah.
Let's talk about this property tax here that Rough Riders was asking.
So
less than 1%. Where's that at?
So property
Tennessee.
Yeah. So property taxes here in Texas tend to be about, I'd say in the low end, 1.7. On the median, like 2.5%. If you're buying new construction, it tends to be a little bit more expensive. So what that turns into is like if you have a $500,000 home on a 2% interest rate, you're kind of looking like $15,000 a year ish for property taxes, maybe a little bit more. So on a $500,000 house where you are, what are you looking at tax wise?
Yeah, so in my area, the most that you're probably going to spend on taxes is about 1.9% of your purchase price. So it's roughly going to be about $10,000 a year on your property tax bill based off a $500,000 house. So I've seen it as low as 1.23. And this is something that may be a little bit different than theirs. Like apparently our property taxes are a little bit cheaper, but our closing costs are much higher than a lot of states. I'm not sure what they are in Texas, but ours are about 3.5% of the purchase price.
So I believe that Florida still has, when you purchase a property and when you sell a property, they tack on an additional 1% just because the state does, right? So
Yeah.
Texas doesn't do that. Most states do. Do you know if that's the case with you?
I wouldn't say that's the case. Not that I can think of. That they're just tacking on an extra 1% because they're transacting twice.
So anytime you buy or sell a home, it's almost like a cigarette tax in Illinois. They're like, well, the state wants more money. Here's how we're going to get it. And they just tack on an extra 1% on top of any closing costs, any kind of escrow fees, everything, commissions, all of that. They're like, let's take all that and then add another 1%. So Texas is one of 13 states in the United States that doesn't do that. I don't know where Florida sits, and that's what I'm asking.
Yeah, I haven't heard of that. So if it is happening, then I'm unaware of it. For that to happen for another 1% for just buying and selling, that doesn't make sense to me. Yeah.
So there's that. And then when you do we haven't even gotten to capital gains, but like I've got a listing right now that's it's a property tax rate of 1.6. So like 1.6% of your annual of what the value of the home is or appraised value. And then I've got another one that I just came from right before here. That's 1.8. Like we have some houses around here that are really reasonable. Problem is people are jumping into these new construction homes. They don't know the property tax rates. They're not getting educated by the right realtors or the right builders or whatever it is. And so they're jumping in and they're instantly paying 3 or more %. And that's fine because that's how they get some of the upgraded, we'll call them upgraded amenities and utilities in the neighborhood, but they don't know that. And so when they're going in and they're buying this house from the builder's not paying that kind of tax. So when they buy it, the builder, like their taxes, they get hit quite a bit after the next year. And a lot of people don't know that. And then on top of that, if it's not your primary residence, you get hit whatever it spikes to, you just are responsible for paying that. So you had people that were buying maybe multiple houses, living in one, and then this other one, they're like, well, let me just get a rental. Well, they get this rental and it's at a 3% tax rate. And then the property taxes were like going up 40 and 50%. And these investors that didn't know because they didn't talk to the right people were getting hit with these crazy property tax rates. And they're like, well, what happened?
I'm curious to see if those come down a lot because like they have one of my properties at like 525 or 550, something stupid like that. And there's no way I could even sell it right now for 425. In the middle of last year, I probably could have. This year, probably not. So I'm curious to see if we see taxes come down. Now, the city's not going to want taxes to come down because they keep raising how much money they're spending on taxes. Like they keep, we went from $500 million. We went from $5 billion last year to $5.5 billion this year. So next year they're going to go to $6 billion, or this year, 2024, they're probably going to rewrite for $6 billion. So they're still going to want that extra $500 million, you know?
Well, Texas, I don't know if Florida did this, but Texas, the governor just fought our homestead exemption for our property taxes. So those did drop for people that are using that as a primary residence. That's number one. And just like Jeremy said, and we've been talking about this a lot, and I think it'll continue to, I think this year, some last year, but more this year, you will see a decrease in a lot of property tax, in a lot of areas, a decrease in property tax in a lot of the areas, which I'm here for. I think that's great. Plus that additional homestead drop, it's great. It's great for buyers right now.
So interesting thing that happens here is, especially when we have people relocating, and I work with the good people, those that are moving to Florida from other places, is they want to bring like an outside lender that isn't familiar with Florida. And here, like taxes are reassessed every year. So like, let's just take your new construction example, which I do want to ask you guys, do you guys have CDD communities over there? Community Development District?
I'm guessing that it's kind of like what we would call a MUD or a PID, which is a municipal utility district. I'm guessing it's the same thing, yeah?
Yeah, I think it's very similar.
What does that stand for, CDD?
Community Development District. Essentially, when these developers build these massive communities with their amenity centers and they're putting all the roads and the infrastructure in, they take out a bond, and that bond is then put back on the homeowners. So that's what it's paid along with your taxes, but it's separate from your tax bill. So,
well, the benefit of that is if you buy in a new construction community and you have this, what you would call CDD or what we would call a mud or a PID, in most cases, it will decrease over time. Okay. But that's just that portion of it. So if that's like, 30% of the tax rate, that may decrease over time. So yes, we do have that. And, but it could be a 10-year bond, 20-year, 30-year, like it'd be a while before they pay it off. And
the community could also take out another bond, right? So like that's the other side of that as well. So here with the CDD, you have two parts of it. You have the operating and maintenance. So I just tell people, like, think of that as another HOA. You're going to pay that forever. And then you have the actual bond portion, and you can pay that off in a lump sum if you wanted to, and you do get a percentage discount if you pay that up front. But most people don't, unless we were in like a severe buyer's market, right? So where it's like, hey, if you're looking at this house right over here and my house right here, well, mine's cheaper because I paid off my bond portion of my CDD. It's going to save you $200 a month, right? But most people don't. They just pay the regular amount every single month. But to go back to the taxes, so taxes are reassessed every single year here. And if you're buying a new construction home, well, the taxes from the previous year are nothing, because you're paying taxes on dirt. So people come in and they'll be like, oh my God, my tax bill is amazing. I can't believe it. And they're not working with the right team. So whether that's their lender or their agent doesn't inform them, the next year they get hit with a fat tax bill, right? So if you buy a $500,000 home before, it was just, let's say the taxes were based off of maybe a $30,000 lot, your tax bill is going to shoot up like crazy. And so, then your monthly payment is also going to change pretty drastically. So a lot of people don't factor that in, which is kind of, you'll see people that, panic sell at that point because they're like, oh, I was not prepared for additional $5,000 a year in taxes. And that's another thing too, is even if you're buying a resale, right? So let's say that you bought a home in 2001 and you lived there as a primary owner and you homesteaded your property. Well, the most that they can raise your taxes year over year is 3%, right? So if you bought it in 2001, you're getting small increases year over year on your taxes. And then it's based off of market value when you sell the property. So you bought it for 100, in 2001, and now it's 500 today. Well, people look at the tax bill and they're like, oh, last year these guys paid X in taxes, great. And they look at that, they put it in the calculator, and then all of a sudden the next year they get a fat bill because their taxes were reassessed based off of the new price. I don't know if that happens with you guys out there, but that's something that we've seen here in Florida. Well, at least what I've seen with other people who are moving here that just don't know, right? I've had people call me like, hey, I got to sell my house because my tax bill is crazy. I wasn't expecting it. My agent didn't tell me. My lender didn't tell me.
There are a couple. Go ahead, Jeremy.
No, I was going to say I've seen that. I mean, I've had clients call me because of that exact reason. That's why I harp on the taxes so much. Go ahead.
I would say that I do have many clients that are in that situation where it's either A, they were called back to work or wanted to move back somewhere, and so they're like, I'm going to sell, or B, they're panic selling because of the taxes, and or many people. And we've looked in specific neighborhoods to see if we could kind of take advantage of that and buy a home in that particular neighborhood. And what I'm noticing is there are certain pockets where you just have, a ridiculous amount of homes listed. I'm talking 50 homes listed in a neighborhood, 60 homes listed that are active listed in a neighborhood because of that. So yeah, there are pockets where it's more common.
Interesting. That's crazy. 50 homes in a neighborhood. That's a buyer's market in that neighborhood then, right?
Only in that neighborhood. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's interesting. And so here in Texas, every neighborhood has a different property tax valuation. Are you like that too? Sounds like you are.
Yeah. So like if you're in the city of St. Augustine, so that's like historic downtown, your taxes are going to be the highest. It's going to be 1.9 and 1.92 or something like that. And then also the same as with St. Augustine Beach, your taxes are going to be higher over there. So it's totally location specific.
Is that 1.9 on a new construction? or like a
So
20-year-old home?
I would say well, it just depends on the area you're in. So if you have a new build within that area, it's going to be subject to that tax district, right?
Right.
So like if you're, for example, let's say you're building out and there's tons of new construction in Northwest St. Johns County where your taxes are 1.23%. So your taxes will be that, but then you're more than likely have a CDD as well, which is on your tax bill. So let's say you buy a $500,000 home for 1.2. What is that? That's a $6,000 bill every single year for your taxes. But then you also have a $2,500 CDD on top of that, and that's paid along at the same time.
Yep.
So I'm going to put out a video about this as well. I read that 80% of the new construction subdivisions are all HOA communities, right? Which is probably no surprise out to you, where you guys are at. It's no surprise here. I'd venture to say it's even more. It's probably 195 to 100% of those communities. And the reason I think that a lot of governments, local governments, are okay with that is because, what does your tax dollars go to? They go towards like taking care of the, the sidewalks, the roads, all that kind of stuff. Essentially, when you have these CDD developments, that's then put on the development itself. So they're still collecting the taxes, but really the sidewalks, the maintenance of everything within the community is on the people that live within the community through their CDD fee. So that's my conspiracy theory. I'll put my tinfoil hat away, but that's why I think they're so prevalent now.
Oh yeah, he's gonna have to go back and talk about the insurance thing, which we talked about. It's out of control. Private school support in Florida is called Step Up for students. Did you guys talk about that yet?
We haven't talked about that. I don't know too much about that. We have really good public schools here. St. Johns County has the #2 public school system within the state of Florida. And we used to be #1, but we got knocked down to #2. I did talk to a buyer just this week who's looking to put their child in Catholic school. And we were talking to a neighbor, and because of something that DeSantis passed, they can get up to like $8,200 a year for their student. You have to apply for it, of course, and get accepted into it for their kid to go to school. And I think the bill for the Catholic school is $8,500 for the year. So they'd have to come out of pocket $300. So that's the most that I know about the school support programs there. But I would say within St. Johns County, I mean, we have one of the best school systems here. And they even, I know when my sister went to school here, if you were part of, it's called the ACE program, they even paid for certain amounts of your college when you get it to it. You have to stay in state though. You have to stay in Florida.
Oh, well. We have something like that for college here in Texas. So we have like an account we put together for our son. But I mean, at the same time, you end up doing better in the stock market versus putting it in that fund. So
yeah,
I don't know what's better.
That's even by the time Braden's even like college age, is college going to be a thing?
Yeah.
Who knows?
And that's the thing is, college age, you're talking, we're talking 7 years from now, but is he going to even go to school in Texas? Is he going to go to college? Those are all things that you just have to start asking yourself, like you just said. And so is it worth it just to put it in the stock market? Because you can't use those funds for anything other than school. And if not, you're taxed on them. So I don't know.
What happens if he doesn't go at all?
You're taxed on it.
Oh, he's going. Even if he doesn't need the classes, he's going to go learn something.
Yeah, that's great.
What
I saw someone mentioned insurance again. I can touch on that if y'all want me to. I know we covered it. Yeah. So the insurance, it definitely is an issue here in Florida. There's no secret about that. If you're on the water, even more so. Your premiums are going through the roof. We've seen like 20% increases year over year for like the past 3 years, which is staggering. That's a huge amount. But the good thing is that a lot of that's based off of the attorney fees. While like the cost is associated with that, it's based off the attorney fees in that insurance claim. And they passed House Bill 837, which essentially limited how much attorneys can make on these things. And we've seen a drastic decrease in those insurance claims as well with that bill passing, almost like within a year, 50% drop. So we imagine to keep seeing that go down, and probably by summer this year, we'll start seeing more insurers come back into the Florida market, which will be good. Which would be good. We always, regardless, we will always have Citizens, though. They're definitely going to be overworked. Citizens is backed by the state of Florida 100%. But they've also increased their workload. I think they went from 300,000 people to over 1 million, within the past couple of years, very quickly, because of all the insurers pulling out and Citizens being the only option. So if a major disaster would happen, many of these insurance companies would go insolvent.
So they're just crossing their fingers and hoping there's no hurricanes.
Well, that's pretty much at this point. Yeah, at this point, yeah. But Citizens is backed by the state of Florida, and the state of Florida is making some good. We have I guess we're probably behind you guys in terms of economy. We think we're the third largest in the United States.
I like that. Did you say we think we're the third largest?
No, we are the third, but I think we're behind you guys. So I think it's California, Texas, then us, in terms of the economy.
Talk about healthcare there.
Healthcare. Well, we have you probably look at the demographics of it. Florida used to be a retirement state, right? Where everyone go to retire. I mean, I guess people still do. And I work with a lot of those people relocating to our area. From what I know of the healthcare system is that we have a very good healthcare system, especially in my area. But that's also because I live in a super wealthy area. So that kind of comes with the territory. My sister works for the healthcare system here. She's a pretty smart person. My brother-in-law is also a nurse here. But the interesting thing that I learned from them is that it's not necessarily the hospital you go to, it's the management of that hospital. I thought that hospitals all worked in tune with each other, all have the same systems. I figured the government would have some type of influence on that. They're not at all. They really they hire out a surgeon or a doctor, and then they run essentially a tree for the management of that hospital. It's very, it's not what you would like to hear when it comes down to your healthcare system.
You know what I love about that particular comment? That actually is the same thing that you could say about home builders here. What do you think, Jeremy? Right? Because you might have a particular builder, but if you go to this site or even a different state, they're very different experiences. So somebody that goes to, I'm not going to say a name, but if somebody goes to a certain home builder in Florida, and then they come here and they think they're going to get the same product, it's whoa. This isn't McDonald's. No, they're very different.
Yeah. Well, that's the one thing I will say, all from your short form videos and Jeremy's and a whole bunch of other Texas realtors, is your new construction looks awesome. $150,000. You're oh my God, this house is amazing. You never have to move. But then you also see that it's 4% taxes. And then you're okay,
that's Houston.
That's why it's 350.
That's not Austin. There are pockets of Austin which are really high, but those are usually condos or townhomes or something like that, special development projects. But we're not that bad.
But you are right on the supers, though. I mean, if you have a good super in one area, and especially dealing with them in a transaction, that can be the difference of you getting everything done before closing and you pushing closing because your client's pissed at the super. That's a fact. And it's, even though they're under the umbrella of this massive corporation, doesn't mean that each site is ran the same.
And one thing that's happening here, I don't know if it's happening for you, but we have a lot of acquisitions. In fact, there's a Florida company that's been buying up some of the builders here in Austin. And so when that happens, now they're just just do what we want you to do now and change things around. And so you have a lot of builders that end up scrambling to try to catch up to the new process, and they've never even met the people that are buying them. Oh, Gigi already called it out. Look at that. Oh, so you've been through it. See what I mean? Yes. And that's one of a few, but yeah.
Yeah, Gigi says depends on the project. Oh, Coventry. There we go. I see what you're saying. Yeah. Okay. Maybe I wasn't supposed to say that. I'm not licensed in Florida, Texas.
She said it.
She said it. Yeah. Thanks, Gigi.
Thanks, Gigi.
What's sad is we had a lot of clients use Coventry, and they, I gotta be careful about how much I say, but I've had clients that use Coventry, and for a brand that's supposed to be, I mean, you have a client buying a $650,000 house, and they're supposed to be getting all this stuff. At the end of the day, like, they did not like deliver a $650,000 house. That's sad.
Is Coventry in Texas alone?
No. Ian, didn't you've had clients build with Coventry, right? Yeah.
Yeah,
So,
but not outside of Texas. But yeah, look, Gigi says she's been in litigation with them. So one of the
Gigi, did you see my video that I posted about buying pandemic homes? I posted that video yesterday. It was a good video.
Coventry, I can say this, Coventry was also Plantation Homes. It was also Plantation Homes, and Dreamfinder Homes is who bought them. So I'll say that.
Okay.
I'll say that.
Yeah, Dreamfinders is here.
Yes.
Now, I've always been told that we can talk about our personal experience with our customers through them. But
yeah, absolutely.
You know, so like I would say with Dreamfinders, like if they have a quick move-in home, process is great. It's no problem at all, right? So it's already done. Don't have to worry about the build and all that kind of stuff. The opposite of that is like if you're building from lot, from my experience with them, that it's not been a smooth process here in northeastern Florida. And that's also because their design company is a third party. It's not actually within Dreamfinders. It's a third party company. So
my experience is they had homes that were in a flood zone, and they did not disclose it to the buyers. And then when we put it under contract, they go, oh, well, it's got an elevation certificate saying that it's out of it. But if you clearly look at the flood maps, which are always changing, it was, well, like even the back of the property was in the flood map. My client's like, I just don't want to be in an area of the flood zone. Like, I wish I would have known this. And this is like, we had to do research to find this out. And then they tried everything in the world not to refund their $2,500. It was a pain, and they ended up not even giving their money back. So,
well,
they spent their money.
So all of Florida is in a flood zone. So it just matters what flood zone you're in if you're required to have flood insurance. So like if you're in flood zone X, you don't have to have flood insurance. I'm not sure if there's some different, type of rule up there in Texas, but pretty much outside of that, you're going to need to get flood insurance required if you have a mortgage, right? So a lot of these builders, what they're doing is they build these large retention ponds in the communities, and they'll dig up these retention ponds, and then they'll use that fill to effectively raise the homes outside of the flood zone. And then they'll apply for a LOMAR, which is a letter of map asset relocation for you guys that don't know. And then that'll switch from flood zone AE, let's say, where you're required to have flood insurance, to flood zone X. So yeah, your house may not be in the flood zone, but the street that you're on, the surrounding area, is more than likely in a flood zone.
This is like, so very good information. I was listening to what you said, and we run into that problem too with the AE. But like especially in Texas, you don't want to be backing up necessarily to an area with flood zone, because potentially your home could flood. Would it be while you own the home? Maybe not. But you really you want to be very careful. But this comment right here. Literally, there was an agent, I'm not even kidding you guys, who said, hey, look, I saw this builder is offering incentives for bringing clients by. I'm going to send clients by. And then I thought to myself, oh, you got to be real careful with that specific builder, because they will do this to your client. And I don't know if you saw the same post, and it was in the San Antonio Real Group. They came out like 5 days later and said, oh, check this out. My client went by, and because they said I wasn't there and I sent them there, that they were not going to pay me, even though they're advertising in the MLS that they're offering this incentive. And I even had their loan originator reach out to me recently. It's like, hey, I joined the loan origination team with this company, and they it's really great. And I basically sent them a text back, I'm never going to do business with you, because that is the worst builder in the world. I won't send clients to them. But this is it right here. I don't trust these builders as far as I can throw them until I see it myself and discuss anything I noticed with my trusted inspector. We as well as well as what he notates. The interesting thing with that is when you walk in, let's say your realtor says to send you in there, and you say, yeah, I'm working with a realtor. They're going to go, hey, you don't have to use a realtor. Your realtor isn't here with you, so we're not even going to put them down. So you can't even use your realtor. So we're not going to pay them, whatever. Who benefits? Is it you? Is it you? That's like literally, a lot of people like to say it's like, being your own lawyer. I think it's like more like being your own proctologist. But it's kind of is like if you represent yourself, it's like honestly like doing your taxes. If you don't have a really, really good professional, you're going to lose money. And in this case scenario, you could lose a lot of money. And these builders, they're incentivized to not have a realtor because guess what? We're going to call out things, question things. Eileen had a client that had a pipe belly in there, and they kept saying, "Oh, it's no big deal. It's no big deal." And the inspector's like, "This is a big deal. This is going to cause a problem down the line."
They'll also tell you not to get an inspector too. Like, oh yeah, well the county inspects it. We have our own inspector as well in house, and they inspect it. And it's like that's the worst. That's aside from not using a realtor, that's the worst piece of information that all these builders say.
Yep. And they don't want you to bring in it. They don't. And then, oh, don't worry. Here's the best. Have you guys had this? Here's the best. Don't worry. We're going to put it on the report when we close, and we'll fix it outside with the home warranty. And then guess what? People like Gigi over here then respond with they've been in litigation for 2 years because they probably didn't fix the work. They didn't do it correctly. And they try to burn out the warranty so you can't do anything. Like, I do not trust builders. I've got a lot of really good, and I'm not crapping down on the builder reps or anybody in particular, but it is important. Whoever you're working with, you got to make sure you have a good construction manager, but you're not going to know that as a consumer because what's going to happen with a construction manager? Oh, I'm awesome. I'm amazing. We're going to do all these great things for you. Everything is going to be fantastic. And then you have the sales rep. Everything's going to be fantastic. You don't need a realtor. We got all this. The construction manager's great too. We're all great. They put on the song and dance. And then you're 6 months in and you want to back out and you lose your earnest money.
Bro, tell me how you really feel.
I'm just saying.
No, this is the story of our lives, and I don't think people understand it until it's too late. And that's how you end up with people that either want to sell or the next time they buy, not the first time, the next time they buy, they're like, oh, I'm absolutely using a realtor, especially when they realize that, at least today, 99% of the time, they don't have to pay a realtor to help them go through the process because builders have a marketing budget to be able to pay. So yeah, it's pretty interesting. Pretty interesting.
Yeah, and I think the biggest thing too is like getting that inspection. Like, as much as we know about houses, I'm sure you guys know a good bit walking through what you can point out that's like blaringly obvious, right? But like just having an inspection is so important in that process. Like do it the whole way through too. Don't just do it from the final inspection once the drywall's up. Like do it like before the drywall, do it for the foundation, like go through it, spend the money on it. It's worth the, $1,000, $1,500 just to have that done.
Man, I had a client who this is a prime example right here. I said, hey, it's really, really important to have an inspection done. I told them, I even put it in writing because I was like, look, if you're not going to do an inspection, I need you to sign off on this in writing. And they came back and had issues later on and stuff that would have been found if we just had an inspection.
Yeah, if y'all don't learn anything from this video, there are two things. One, Texas is better. Two, get everything in writing with your realtor. What's that?
I will say that Muhammad said that Florida houses are ugly. I got to clap back on that. The new construction Florida homes, like, because me and my wife were like, okay, we might buy a property up in Jersey because we have family up there. And we're looking at the houses up there, and oh my God, those houses suck. Like every single house is like from the 1950s. And they all have small closets. What was that?
Midwestern houses too. A lot of them, yeah.
Yeah. So like they're obsolete in today's world, in my opinion. But I'm spoiled because all the new construction here is like amazing, beautiful layouts. They have great features to them. The outside, like, how do you not like a coastal beach house? Like, come on, Muhammad.
They just paint them pastel and say, here you go.
That's it. Yeah, you paint it like a light blue. You're set.
Hope it doesn't get knocked over. Oh man.
Well, it's possible. It's possible.
I love it.
Yeah.
So why would I was gonna say why would you be leaving with your wife's family up there?
Yeah, we wouldn't be leaving. I don't think we would. It's just like if we have kids, we're gonna need mom-in-law to help out and everything like that.
Yeah.
So that's
we're ready for kids. We're popping some out. As you got some news you want to break on Real Amigos?
no,
It already
not
broke, bro.
yet. I mean, it's definitely in the works. Maybe I'll have a little Real Amigo of my own one day. Yeah, it's definitely something we talked about. We got another puppy just recently, so fighting that off for now. But
there's only so many puppies until you have a baby.
Yeah, what was that?
So there's only so many puppies until you have a baby.
Yeah, we're at 2, so I mean, I think we can't really get too many more. But
he's at 2 too, so he's there. I mean,
Ian's got a Real Amigo on the way.
I don't have any amigos on the way.
No.
It's not that I know of.
He said, "I am poor for a coastal house, but I looked at Tampa. Can you name some communities where they have cooler houses?" Yeah, I mean, Tampa. I'm in St. Johns County. It's definitely not as cool as Tampa. From what I hear, all the hustle and bustle of Tampa. We don't have cool casinos and stuff, but Duval County, Jacksonville. A lot of people talk shit on it, but it's developing very, very quickly. Just to give you an idea, they're putting hundreds of millions of dollars into the waterfront on the south bank and the north bank of St. Johns River. But the cool place, Duval County, Jacksonville, the downtown, the coolest place to go in downtown at the Landing for the longest time, the best restaurant was a Hooters, right? And they got great wings, right? But not exactly what you want for the crown jewel of your city in downtown Jacksonville. So that's all changing now. We're starting to see some nice higher end restaurants go in there. We're seeing more apartment complexes go down there to where it's becoming more like a city. Whereas before it was just a commuter place where you went for work and you left. So they have some really, really amazing projects out there. And comparatively to Tampa, comparatively to St. Johns County, the prices are way better.
Man, dude, we hit an hour real fast.
I know.
That's quick. An hour talking smack about Florida. It's a good topic, man.
Because it's so similar in some regards.
I feel like a lot of the things I hear from people, they're leaving California. Like people they're doing a circle, right? They're probably like leaving like other places like New York and then heading to California, and then they're making a circle back through Texas and into Florida, or into Idaho. But all right, that's going to be it for today, everybody. Thank you, Thomas, for joining us. You're the man.
Thanks, guys.
We'll see you. Make sure you like, comment, subscribe, and drop comments below because Thomas is going to come back and answer